In the last 6 years, Biloxi, Mississippi, the tourist city on the Gulf Coast, has suffered one setback after another, from Hurricane Katrina to the BP oil spill. But this year, no more Biloxi blues. Things are finally looking up, and CBS News correspondent Mark Strassman got a first-hand look.
You remember this: rising steel, construction workers, dreams backed by money before the recession took both away. In Biloxi, Mississippi, you can see it again all over this historic Gulf Coast city.
This is Shark Heads.
Finally, Brent Peritich's family is rebuilding Shark Heads, a third-generation souvenir shop and landmark here. Katrina took their main store in 2005, along with 90% of Biloxi's beachfront. They've survived with one smaller store, but hope to thrive in their new construction. 27,000 square feet of retail space.
At the end of 2010, we started driving pylons, and now we're going in full force trying to get open for March of 2012.
Suddenly, Biloxi has what so many American communities want: a new building boom. Dozens of ongoing projects, with more developers applying for building permits every week. It's not the number of projects here that's striking, it's their size and value. Roughly $300 million worth since late last year. That's almost triple the value of new construction Biloxi has seen each year during this recession.
This brings another element to Biloxi that we've really needed.
Jerry Creel, the community development director here, showed us Biloxi's biggest new project, Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett's vision for a $44 million restaurant and casino. But there's more.
We have a little bit of everything. We have restaurant, we have retail, we have a super Walmart under construction, but all of it adds up.
Local leaders hope it all adds up to something else: jobs. Margaritaville alone is expected to create up to 650 jobs. Good news for a city battling a 9.3 unemployment rate.
I think the lending has eased up in the past year.
During the recession, banks toughened credit requirements. Now those purse strings seem to be finally loosening.
The projects that we're looking at have the funding approved before they even come into our office. So that's the biggest difference between this year and last year.
An overdue break in a community battered by bad luck: Katrina, a stubborn recession, and last summer's BP spill. Something else is different now. People's confidence is back, a bit of the old swagger.
You know, boom, boom, right after another. We feel like that America's on the uptick now, and we feel like it's a good time to go ahead and start our project.
People here sense, just maybe, they're on a roll again. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Biloxi, Mississippi.
And joining us now from Jackson, the state capital, is Mississippi Governor Haley Barbour. Governor, good morning.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about what Mark was talking about, that swagger that Biloxi is getting back right now. We've talked about it, this Gulf Coast city that has been battered by Katrina, the recession, and then the oil spill. But I just want to show you a graphic here. The money that investors have been pouring in since Katrina: $117 million into residential construction, $716 million into commercial construction. That's over $834 million right there worth of investments. So what do you think accounts for this surge in the rebuilding of this area?
Well, I thought Jerry said it well. The money is loosening up a little bit, but you have to remember Biloxi had some other issues. Right after Katrina, which just utterly obliterated the beach, first they had to rebuild US 90, Beach Boulevard as we call it. In doing so, all of the water and sewer, which had been located in the right-of-way just north of the highway, well, the highway got moved as far north as possible for obvious reasons, so then they had to move all the water and sewer. So they had complications, federal issues about what the federal government would allow them to do. So they were a little slower than some of the other communities right after Katrina. And then you mentioned the recession. And then the oil spill, while it wasn't an environmental disaster for Mississippi's Gulf Coast, because we were cleaning up what oil we got every day when it got here, it was a huge economic disaster because it crushed our tourism business. And Biloxi is a wonderful world-class destination resort, and it paid the price.
Are you surprised that it has made the comeback that it has with all that you talk about there? That sounds like a lot for one city to take.
I'm not really surprised at all. I watched the people of the Mississippi Gulf Coast after Katrina, and they're strong, tough, resilient, self-reliant people. And a lot of people down there would say, well, Biloxi actually came back a little bit more slowly because it had some issues other places didn't. But it's blowing and going now.
Were any investors a little reticent about coming back to the area with the quote? I mean, it just seems as though you've been hit with some bad luck there the last 6 years.
Well, a big issue is insurance. Insurance against the mega disaster is something that you get from the federal government, from flood insurance, and those issues had a lot of effect on people, particularly in the first couple of years after Katrina, not just in Biloxi, but all across the coast. So that was an impediment, and as people got their insurance issues straightened out, then you got into, in 2007 and 2008, the beginning of a serious recession that's still hurting some places, by the way.
Well, you know, you've got this boom now in construction, like we've mentioned, but your unemployment rate, which Mark mentioned in his piece briefly, 9.3%, which is above the national average. How are you, I mean, what's the disconnect there with all the new jobs that are being created and all this construction, but you still have this high unemployment rate?
Well, I'll tell you, if you look, there are 3 counties on the Gulf Coast. Biloxi's in Harrison County. The other 2 are Jackson and Hancock. Both of them have higher employment today than they did at the time of Katrina. Harrison County, on the other hand, has lower employment than at the time of Katrina, fewer people working. I think part of it is that the gaming industry has not come back as fast and as strong, and that's not unique to Mississippi if you look at Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and other places. So gaming doesn't employ as many people. Statewide, we're about 2% below record employment, so we're still pushing to try to get back to the record we set in 2008.
Well, Governor, we thank you for taking the time. Good to talk with you this morning.
Thank you, Chris.
Governor Haley Barbour, Mississippi.